Today I'm continuing the message on the foundations for work, and I'm going to be focusing on the fruitful church. It's going to be a two-part series. I'll do it today and next week, and I'm going to talk about identifying your seeds, how to identify your gift, talents, and abilities you have. All of us have a mandate to achieve results. God wants you to achieve results. And so if you go through life without bearing fruit or achieving results, you are malfunctioning according to divine order. Turn your Bible to Genesis chapter 1. Let's read verses 11 and 12. Remember that when we speak about fruit, we are talking about the end result of an elaborate process of work. The power to dominate or to have dominion starts with the demand or the order, be fruitful. And this is founded on the seed principle. If you aim to therefore be fruitful, you cannot go to God and be asking him for fruit. God has created plants with seeds in them. And therefore you go to the seed. Instead of asking God for fruit, you go to the tree and you take out the fruit. And in the fruit, there are seeds that you must work with. You don't pray and ask God for fruit. God doesn't give fruit. God gives seeds. So let's read Genesis chapter 1, 11 and 12 together. 1, 2, go. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Verse 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. Everybody say the seed is in itself. Okay, so last week we started with 4 characteristics of the seed. Number 1, when you talk about seed, you are talking about the source or the beginning. Trees have their beginning in a seed. Animals have their beginning in a seed. Human beings have their beginnings in a seed. Number 2, the seed is potential. What you can become, what you are capable of becoming in your future. So every time you look at yourself, you've got to think about your tomorrow. Today you may look like nothing. Today it may be as if you have achieved nothing. But there is something in you that can achieve a lot for your future. So don't give up on yourself. You create life and you create the future. Number 4, the seed is powerful. The seed in the right environment and with good nurturing, the seed will overcome every hindrance and every obstacle and thrive. Why? Because it is a life force. So you plant a seed, the force of gravity is working against it, but the seed will still rise against the force of gravity because it cannot be stopped. It is a life force. Applying that to yourself, it means that you are a potential king. Your future is in your potential today. Don't give up on yourself. Maybe you haven't discovered it in a long while. Over a long while, but when you find out who you are and you begin to utilize it, you create a future that is desirable and you cannot be stopped. You will overcome every limitation and every hindrance your way because there is life in you. It will overcome every hindrance in your way. So we did that last week. Today I'm going to talk about how to identify and discover your seeds. How to identify and discover your seeds. Seeds are freely given to you by God. They are not things you pay for or you buy or you earn it. But in order to benefit from it, you must be able to recognize that you have a seed, it is there, and that it is yours. The seed is small, but it has the force of life and potential for your future. Usually, when we talk about seeds, for many people, seeds are what you do for fun. Activities you engage in for fun, and for long hours you enjoy it. It is prudent in life to first discover and then put your seed to work in the way God has given us. Maybe you can draw. Maybe you can dance. Maybe you can speak a lot of languages. Maybe you can explain things to people. Maybe you can gather children around and teach them. You know, there is something that God has given to you. It is within you. You enjoy doing it, and it is fun for people. And that is why at primary school or kindergarten, one of the major aims of primary school and kindergarten is to help you discover your seed. Primary school and kindergarten is not to memorize and dull your senses. It's to allow the creative abilities God has placed in you to be expressed. So when you are in kindergarten, don't be impressed if your child comes home and is reciting things, blah, blah. Creativity. Maybe you like arranging things. What does it mean? You like dismantling things. You are able to draw, you sing, you dance. Those are things that you should watch out in children, because it is an expression of the things that God has placed in them. It is finding expression at a very early age. And so we are going to look at a few things in the Bible today and discover the seeds God has given to us. Matthew chapter 13, let's read from verse 31 and 32. Matthew chapter 13, 31 and 32. Are we there? Can we read it together? 1, 2, go. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Jesus, in this parable of the mustard seed, is setting out a few things that will help us identify who we are and how to use the seeds he has given to us. What is number one? The first thing is that you must identify your seed and name it. So in the parable, it says that another parable put he forth. The kingdom of heaven is like what? A grain of mustard seed. He calls it by name. It's a mustard seed. He didn't say an apple or a guava or an alasa. He identified the seed and says, this is a mustard seed. It will help you to see and tap into your potential. A mustard seed does not learn to become a mustard seed. It is a mustard seed, and the potential is in itself. It does not spend its life trying to be a guava seed or an apple seed. If it does, it will become a fake apple. This explains why those of us who try to spend our lives desperately to be what they are not end up frustrated as carbon copies who are ignored. Who are you? What do you have? What is your seed? What is the talent, the abilities within you that God has placed within you? It is important you identify it, and you identify it early. A gift that is given to you freely by God. In order to benefit from it, recognize the gift of God in you. Some people try to spend money or move around trying to acquire a gift or want to become like somebody else. But when you were created, God placed a seed in you according to the principle we have read. The seed is in the fruit. You've got to be able to eat the fruit and then look for the seed, because the seed will guarantee the future. The seed is a source. The seed is powerful, and the seed will prevail. So understand that you are already seeded. There is something in you. It is possible for many people to live their entire life without even knowing what their seed is. But the seed always resides within you. It is the life source. It resides in what God has created. Before you do any sowing, you must know the seed that is in you. So I'm going to just show you a few characteristics of the seed so that you'll begin to identify who you are, what you have, and what you can utilize to bear fruit. Seeds, talents are inborn. The first thing you must understand is this is wired into your genetic makeup. You are born with it. And this means that what are you naturally good at? What are you drawn to as a child? Where do your curiosities lead you? What talents and interests do you display at an early age? It is inborn and naturally endowed. It is not acquired outside you. So while it is good to have education, while it is good to acquire knowledge, those cannot impart gifts. You must look within to find the gift within you. And therefore, your education and your training must enhance and develop the inborn seeds. Now, this is very interesting because depending on where you grow up and the environment you grow up in, your seeds can either be totally killed or it can be poorly nurtured. Every one of you. You see, if you live in Africa, for example, you'll find out that there is a general education track record. You go to primary school, maybe you come from a village, there are no arts, or there's no art school, or your school doesn't teach music, or your school doesn't engage in drama. What is important is for you to understand that when you are a child, our educational system must facilitate the seeds that God has given to us. So you find out that in every advanced country, if, for example, you play football, you can play an instrument, you can sing, you can draw, those things are nurtured early so that you can begin to see your natural advantage in life. So many of us, for example, you can sing, but you go to a school or you put yourself in a formal education where all they are teaching you is arithmetic, subtraction, dictation, and things. And therefore, maybe something that is inborn within you. You can dance, you can play an instrument. Those things never have the potential to grow. And so you may grow up, your seeds are there, but they have never been discovered. I've always asked God why, for example, a church is important for people. You see, in the environment of a church, it's like God allows a lot of talents that are not taught in school to be nurtured in the church. So, for example, you can sing, you can recite poems, you can play an instrument, you can talk to people, public speaking. It allows you for some of those things that may never be cultured in because of a lack of educational opportunities for it to come out. Understand that you are born with something. And sometimes formal education is not the only way out. Otherwise, there will be people in this world who will never be rich because formal education does not bring out their potential. Isn't it interesting that many of the very rich people in the world didn't follow the normal formal education? I mean, because what does it teach you? Apart from what somebody else has learned, and apart from what the resources of a country can provide. So if you can play football in a certain continent, if you can sing, if you can dance, if you can do drama, if you can write plays, if you can play basketball. If you take America, for example, someone like a Michael Jordan is bouncing a ball. Someone like Abraham Laboriel is playing a guitar. Someone like Usain Bolt is running. And you find out that because that is the natural talent they are inborn with, they are able to excel in life. Because that is what God has given to them. Not everybody can be a mathematician. Not everybody can be a doctor. Not everybody can be a geologist. Not everybody can be an administrator. Some of us remember that God gave us seeds, natural abilities and talents. You are inborn with them. It is important for you to discover it. The second thing about seeds is that seed talents are instinctive. They are not taught. You respond to it naturally or with a natural flair. So you ask yourself, what do you know or know how to do without being taught formally? What is it that you can do unexplainably with unusual skill and little effort that you enjoy? Some of you can just tell stories. Some of you can, you can gather people around children, and just when you are around children, just gravitate towards you and you can groom them. Some of you can just sell any product. Some of you have the ability to convince people and persuade people. That is something within you that you must begin to discover and to utilize. The third thing is that seed talents are intuitive. It means that they come by instinct, and you display an unusual understanding without thinking much about it. It's an idea or a thought that occurs to you, and it provides a solution. I've seen people who never stepped in a school. They didn't learn any physics or chemistry, and yet you find them as mechanics. How are they able to understand the engineering of a car when they have never been to a formal school? Because some of those things are inborn. If they sit in a physics class, they may never pass. But some way, somehow, they are able to understand the engineering behind it and solve a problem. Because God placed something in them. It is intuitive, it is instinctive, it is inborn. And then finally, seed talents are inventive. Because you enjoy doing it, because it comes naturally to you, among your peers, you find out that you're able to create solutions, things that they find difficult, some way, somehow, it comes easily to you, and therefore you progress and you create things about it. So you ask yourself a few questions. Where do you find yourself most creative? This describes seed talents, or the seeds that you were born with. I'm now going to show you how to identify and discover them. Number one, the first question, if you want to identify what God has given you, is what do you learn easily? What are you naturally good at and drawn to, especially as a child? Where do your talents and curiosities and interests lead you at an early age? There are things we are able to do far easier than others. There are certain ideas, subjects, or activities that connect more deeply within us than others, and we are more successful than our peers. And therefore, it makes particular studies easy and fun to learn. You feel a sense of command in that area because it comes easily to you. I don't know how you feel like if you went to a school, and then I was listening to somebody yesterday, was it one of the major singers, and they were asking her why she didn't do well in SSS. She said she went to write the exam, but she never even went to check her result because she knew that we were born. When I listened to her, even though it was interesting and the statement was funny, I just sat down quietly and I asked myself, what makes somebody a failure? So they asked her what was her interest. Then she said the thing she liked most in school was singing. But unfortunately, you don't do singing at O level or A level or SSS. So here is somebody who has a God-given ability. She's doing well with it. She can sing. She said the only time she enjoyed school was when they were singing, or maybe there was assembly and then they'll call her to come and sing. And then the whole school knew her because that one should perform. So the fact that an educational system marks you failed because they didn't tap into your talent does not make you a failure. I believe that everybody is endowed with an ability to do well. It's just that we are different. So if you are in a certain environment where your abilities don't come out, then you can create another environment yourself that allows you, and that's what I'm going to teach you, that allows you to excel so that you don't see yourself as a failure. Because many people we call failures are only because they are not like us. So I ask you a simple question. Is Lionel Messi a failure? Which school taught him how to play football? Is Michael Jordan a failure? Is Jay-Z a failure? Which school taught them? Did they have to pass mathematics and geography and religious studies? But none of us will call them a failure. Why? Because they are using their natural endowed abilities, and they have created an environment where the seed within them, the life source, the potential has been explored. Is somebody with me? So the fact that you got mathematics A and I got mathematics F doesn't mean that your life must be better than mine. Or doesn't mean that I'm a failure and you are a success. Because if I discover what has given to me, even if the world doesn't provide the environment for me to do well, and I begin to apply the way God wants me to live it, I will also be successful. So I don't believe that there should be failures in life. You are only a failure if you fail to discover the fruits, the seed God has given to you, and you decide not to use it, and therefore you settle to the world. But the Bible tells us, do not allow the world to conform you. Is somebody hear me? Do not allow the world to determine your life and classify you by their standards. What school did Jesus Christ go to? Abraham was looking after sheep. Was he a failure? David was a shepherd boy. Was he a failure? So these examples are there to show us that the world's standards, not everybody can be a doctor, not everybody can be a banker, not everybody can be a lawyer. I was just joking with some of the groupings this morning, and I was saying, can you imagine Shatawale as a bank clerk? Or can you imagine Stone Boy as a security man? What happened? They found what God has given to them. And they decided that, Charlie, we are going to hold onto it. Sometimes, and forgive me, I'm not playing down on the education, But sometimes formal education can stifle creativity. Because it can make you throw away your seed and follow other things that doesn't enhance your seed. So if I can take you through a trajectory, many of the world's richest people, they didn't go to school. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Jay-Z, Oprah. You see, just name them. Just name them. Tupac, 50 pence. Gangnam Style. Steel Pulse. Culture. Bob Marley. So your education must help you nurture your seeds. It mustn't fight your seeds. You know, some of you want to become science students. Meanwhile, you can draw. But it's like, Charlie, yeah, I want to show that I'm sharp brain. And so you are following something that doesn't give you a natural advantage. Some of you can cook. I mean, I don't know how many of you have followed Formula One. It's a car racing, whatever it is. What do? They just drive. And they show the fastest driver. Security. Get into BNI. CIA. But you see, your mindset is the security man is only somebody who stands at the gate and sleeps. And we'll talk about all these things. But it's important for you to understand that there is something in you which must be nurtured. So the Bible says the first thing is he took a grain of mustard seed. He understood his seed. It was not an apple. It was not a guava. It was not an alasa. It was a mustard seed. So the first thing to know about yourself, what is my strength? What do I learn easily? Even when nobody's teaching me, it's intuitive, it's instinctive. I'm able to pick it up naturally. Number 2, you identify your seed by the things that bring you fulfillment. You enjoy doing it. I was talking to somebody who says, Pastor, me, when I go to school, what I like best is PE, physical education. But you see, in a certain environment, if you say you are going to do PE, they don't think of you as becoming a coach and training athletes. And the environment will tell you, when at school, what they want, say physics, mathematics, no linear, or science, because a certain environment kills seeds. And we must understand it, because if you don't understand it, you may end up doing something that doesn't fulfill you. Who was the coach of Chelsea? Jose Mourinho. How many of you would like to be a Jose Mourinho? But how many know the kind of path it took for a seed to become a fruit? So many of us are going to school. We don't even understand why we are going to school. Okay, I feel general as in Papa Kenya fake. You're your fake, born him more. But your talent itself, you can play an instrument, you can dance, you can make comedy, you can make great poems, you can write songs, you can create beats. And I've always asked God why He puts such abilities in deprived areas. So if you are here in this community and in this church, listen to me. Because we may not be able to compete with doctors. We may not be able to compete with engineers. But the potential here, like Stoneboy, Shatawale, Shamokwe, Bukom Banku. You see, when you discover yourselves and the potential, one match will be more than what the doctor will earn in 10 years. That is why we need to understand how to nurture it, how to grow it. Maybe you are a carpenter, but you can design something, some furniture that will blow minds of people and charge seriously for it. Maybe you are a barber, you are a seamstress. Don't despise it because the world looks down on you. There is a way you must come up and make yourself relevant and profitable. And I'll tell you something. If the world doesn't create that environment for you, create it yourself. You can. And I'll teach you how to do it. You can and you must. Because that's the way you be fulfilled. So what makes you fulfilled? What is it that when you are doing, you find fulfillment in it? Because it will determine how far you'll go. So the second thing is, what gives you fulfillment? Number 3, identify your seed by discovering your passion. Passion is energy that drives human effort and commits you even when you are tired. Even when you feel like giving up. Because you have a passion, you never give up. Everybody who has succeeded in this life has passion. That passion will drive you to sleep in places you don't want to sleep. So listening to people like Abodam, Shatawale, always in the studio. You know, if it's not your passion, Agbana, and what but when something is your passion, no excuses. When something is your passion, you don't get tired. When something is your passion, you always seem to have energy. So you find somebody who says, Pastor, I love computers. You are sitting behind a computer. All your colleagues have closed from work. You are still, passion is driving you. You want to solve the problem. You want to do something extra. Why? Because you are passionate about it. You are a seamstress. Everybody has closed and gone. But the passion is driving you in the middle of the night. The light is still on. You are sewing and you are designing and you are cutting cloth. Why? Because passion drives you beyond tiredness. You want to be a footballer. You don't come and say, I want to be a footballer, but nobody is buying me football jersey or boots. You will naturally find out that the passion for football will make you buy football boots, will make you buy jerseys, will make you buy guards and all those things. Why? Because passion doesn't have room for excuses. It's a seed in you, something inborn, something you want to become. When other people are giving excuses, it drives you on. And that's your seed. So what is it that you do without giving excuses? You see, we've created an environment where many people are working, but they don't like what they are doing. And so they will either ditch you, they will undermine you, or they will complain. Take somebody who wants to be a mason. If you genuinely want to be a mason, you will never complain about carrying block. It's part of your work. If you want to be a boxer, you will never complain when somebody hits you. But me, if you hit me, I'll hit you good measure. Pressed down and shaking together. I don't want to be a boxer. Passion drives you. So when you employ somebody, you see, look for these things. Because if you employ somebody who's always going to give you excuses, always wants a way out, never committed, sign of lack of passion. He's not working with his seed. He'll create problems. Because when people want to achieve something, they will stay in the studio 2 days, 3 days. They don't even have an opportunity, but they are there. Because passion drives your seeds and your talents. And then finally, identify your seed by discovering your natural wisdom. When I talk about natural wisdom, I'm talking about things that are inside you. It is instinctive and intuitive and sets you apart. It always gives you fresh and innovative insights that sometimes even amazes you. So if you find somebody who has natural wisdom, when he's playing football like Lionel Messi, he takes the ball and he says, Charlie, this guy has ball sense. The way he moves with the ball, there are a lot of footballers, but all of a sudden you can see that there's a natural instinct. There's something that it's not learned. He's naturally flowing in it. You look at a lawyer and you say, this is an astute lawyer because he's able to wriggle himself out of cases. You look at somebody who's a journalist, the way he tells his stories, he has a journalism sense. And you find out that they stand out because they do it with a passion. What do you do with a passion? That you don't complain. That even when they are not paying you, you'll do it. That is how you discover your gift. Because if I'm playing football, because I love it, because I believe in it, even if you don't pay me, I want to play. If I have to walk from Nima to the stadium, I won't complain because I want it. It's in me. Pastor, Nima. Oh, Pastor, I'm fake trotting keke. But me, if you ask me to come and walk to Kolebu Junction, I'm going to complain because it's not my seed. So what do you do that you don't complain about? For which even if nobody pays you. You see, I'm setting a foundation for you to learn how to work. Because too many people work for money when they should be working for fruit to develop what God has given to them. If you put money for work, believe you me, you frustrate yourself. We don't work for money. Money is a reward for our work. See, I'm in Choco. Why am I still here? There must be a reason beyond money. Look at any singer, any artist, any instrumentalist who has broken through. They work with their passion. They create beats. They create music. When they sit behind, they can change something. It's creative. They can change something and turn it into something. They can bring another beat into the music and change the whole. Wow. Why? Because they enjoy it. And when they are playing, look at them the way they enjoy. Even they are working the whole day, they don't complain. Why? Because life, fulfillment, they are smiling. At the end of the day, they'll think of what they eat. But even if they don't eat, the next morning they are there, jamming. Jamming. I want to jam in with you. Germany. Then they play Germany. Creating things. If you don't discover, if you don't identify, if you don't work with what God has placed in you, the world will frustrate you. Because wealth is created by identifying something within you and offering it. It makes you totally distinct. Nobody can counterfeit you. So the Bible says that the kingdom of heaven is like a seed which a man took. He didn't leave it. Take it. Don't throw it away. Don't despise it. Take it. It is yours. Own it. This is my seed. So I'm going to show you the process you must go through for everybody to be fruitful. Are you with me? Somehow, I seem to have watched a lot of people from certain areas become big, like Usain Bolt. I've watched his training regime. Lionel Messi, I have movies on Lionel Messi. Cristiano Ronaldo, I have movies on Cristiano Ronaldo. And I can see where they came from and what they discovered early and how God has used what he placed in them to launch them into fruit. Is somebody with me? So if you don't become a doctor and you don't work in a bank, don't be worried. Don't let it bother you at all. Find the seed. So I'm going to choke you so that you stand up. That's what we are going to be doing the whole of this year. The covenant of prosperity, there are principles that underline it. And one of it is understanding what God has called you to do. And if you may not have found your seed yet, it's not too late. You may never have used your seed. It's not too late. Because of the environment you are in, you've been pushed along a certain way. But find it. Own it. Take it. Look at Apostle Kojo. I don't even understand the guy. He's never studied chemistry or physics. I'm sure if you gave him one physics equation, the guy would. But look at him. Shatawali. Look at him. Promise, King Promise. Now, many of these people went to Legon. They also went to do administration, political science, philosophy. But they said, this one, no. There is something within me. Obidi pompidi. What time is it? That's the wrap. Huh? Can you understand it? Are you ready for the adventure of your life? Are you ready or I should stop? Because what I'm going to share with you, I need to God help us bring us out. Some of you can dance. If you dance now, even King Herod will give you half his kingdom. You didn't go to school. But if we call you to dance, King Herod is prepared to say, I'm a king. Take half of my kingdom. Just by dancing. David didn't go to school playing a guitar. Saul called David and said, because of what you have done, I'm going to elevate you and change your background. Just by playing a guitar. Joseph could interpret dreams. It means take things that are difficult and explain them and make them easy. He interprets a dream, it brings him out of prison, it makes him prime minister without votes. The things in you that are lying dormant, it looks like you are nothing. In the right environment, it will blow you into your future. Is somebody heard me? So it's important we keep praying, asking God to help discover what is in me. Because there are still stories waiting to be told. There are still books waiting to be written. There are still new designs waiting to be created. There are still, next year there will be more dresses. Who is going to create that design? There's going to be better furniture. There are going to be better cars. There are going to be better phones. What are you sitting down doing? Maybe all you do is you dream and you have ideas. I was following the story of GPS. You know the GPS? How many of you know GPS? Global Positioning Systems. If you sit in your car and want to go to Tesano, all you do is you type Tesano, then it will show you the route to take. And there's a woman who is always speaking and making noise. The woman doesn't know you. You have never seen her. I don't know where she is. Yet she gives you directions. She has never been to Ghana. Yet she can give you directions to avoid traffic and go to your house without missing your way. When you have a passion, you are employed. Maybe you want to be a graphic designer. The latest Corel, do they still use Corel? Corel or Photoshop application they have. It's an old model. But because you have a passion, you ask your friends, Charlie, do you have the latest model? You have it in your pen drive. When you go, you see, you look for it yourself. You invest in it yourself. Because there's a passion. But you, from the day you are employed, see, you are displaying that is not where you should be. That is not where you should be. So let me just show you John chapter 12, verse 24, and we are just about to end. John chapter 12, verse 24. What to do with your seed. Let's all read it together. 1, 2, go. Verily, verily, I say unto you. Look at how it starts. Verily, verily, dole, dole, mean kebo. Sure, sure. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. In this verse, Jesus is using a metaphor to explain the process of growth and multiplication. So the first thing is he identifies it, a corn of wheat. He's identifying the talent, what I'm doing with it. Then he's going to show us the process. Anybody who goes through a process, the first was a mustard seed. He's finished with the mustard seed. Now he's talking about a corn of wheat. So it means that it's not only the mustard seed that will grow, the mustard seed will grow, the corn of wheat will grow, the corn of abele will grow, the corn of alasa will grow. So every talent, dancing, music, playing an instrument, going to school, learning to become a doctor, if you have that passion, it's a seed. If it's inborn, it has the potential of growing. But he says, no matter what you have, it must go through a process. You can't avoid it. You can't say, as for me, because I draw, I'll be lazy. I have my own way of doing things. As for me, because I'm in Choco, I have my own way. As for me, because my father is rich, I have my own way. The way, the truth, and the life. Nobody gets to the Father except by him. So don't use your laziness as an excuse. Because the covenant principles, if you are diligent, if you are hardworking, if you have integrity, if you are somebody who denies himself and sacrifices, God watches over his covenant principles to fulfill it. So you are a sweeper. Listen, you can become a sweeper to owning companies. You may start as a seed, but you can become bigger than Zoom Lion. You may start on a tabletop, but you can become an odor rice. What is the principle that makes, is it like, oh, I'm lucky, I'm not lucky? No. It says, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and dies, it abides alone. So there's a necessary procedure. There's a necessary process. Anybody who wants to bear fruit, everybody wants to break out and be rich, everybody wants to succeed. It doesn't matter what you do. In all labor, there is profit. So whether you're a musician, whether you're a footballer, whether you're an athlete, whether you are a banker, whether you're a doctor, whether you are a computer software engineer, whatever you are, whether you are an aquatic engineer, whatever you are, you can do well. You don't have to try and become like somebody else. Did you hear that? You don't have to try. Just ask God to teach you. But then after God has shown you, then we are going to get to work. It says, except a corn of wheat fall to the ground and die. So there's a process. It says, and fall to the ground and die. And then it says, but if it dies, it means that the death, as for the death, it is a necessary part. But dying is not easy. So let's start from stage one. Except a corn of wheat do what? Fall to the ground. Come. Were you the one I used this morning? You were not here. Where's Abuaji? Sit down. Come. You. Were you here this morning? What is this man doing now? He's standing. The Bible says that, hey, in this world, if you want to do well, the first stage is to fall. It means you stop standing. What do? Fall. Listen carefully. The first instruction is to fall. Please get up again. He could have decided, me, I won't fall. What will he be doing? You still stay there. Because the critical thing about the process is that God says, except you fall. The word fall means humble yourself. Embrace your future. Put aside your own ego. Put aside your own who you think you are for. And submit yourself to tutors and governors, somebody else. And it takes a lot of humility. That you go to a studio, they are insulting you. Fall, lie down. You want to become a musician. Then you go and say, hey, I have a first degree. Then they say, usually when you go, any job you get and you take your degree, the first thing they do is the people, they laugh at you. Because they know you don't know. They know that you have certificate, you don't know. They are now going to teach you. And I'll tell you something. Many of the people who teach you, they'll bluff you. Just like you also bluff people. So the first thing is fall. Because somebody is going to talk to you in a way you don't like. Somebody is going to, you are older than the person, somebody is going to insult you in a way you don't like. So he says, if you want to do well, the first thing is put away your ego and who you think you are and your certificates. 4. Me, why should I fall? Why should I lie on the ground? Except a corn of wheat. Whoever you are. If you want to move on in life, you see, there are many people who cannot fall. They cannot be trained. The person who is training you doesn't like you. He's insulting you. But remember something. What you are getting is bigger than your pain. Always remember that. Oya no fame mechanic. Dana jabu. Oto no fame mechanic. Jemo na job where it won't define you. Kasemo jemo epete ohe. Jesus Christ, for the price that was set before him, he endured the cross. He fell. He humbled himself. Some of you walk into an office, me, I got first class. I speak better English than everybody here. Do they know who I am? And the person the clerk who's going to teach you is laughing at you. Because if the clerk decides he won't teach you, your degree will stop outside the office. Fall. Everybody say fall. You want to be a singer? Kemba later, bona kemi you all abra womi ababra obo no ba hinshi. See, there are too many poor people who are proud. There are too many people who get angry easily. There are too many poor people who cannot be taught. And any employer will tell you. Too many poor people who you don't progress with that attitude, so you fall. Except a corn of wheat fall to the ground. The second thing is that apart from falling, it is just on the surface. Anything that wants to grow, you must dig the earth. You don't just put it on the surface. You must dig the earth and plant it. What it means is that that thing is going to stay in one location for a long while. Can I explain that to you? See, there are too many people who can't stay in a place. Haven't you noticed that every job, everybody who gets rich, he's been doing the same thing for a long while? Think about it. I employ 1 week, no, 2 weeks, 1 year, and she you see, I just don't understand. God help me. Those that are planted in the house, it means that this chair, for example, is not planted. So after church, we can carry it away. But when you are planted, it means you can't be easily removed. You want to become a mechanic. You are easily removed. When you have a mechanic, you never stay long enough. They that tarry long at the wine. They that stay long enough. You want to be a cell leader, you stay long enough. You want to be a member of the church to benefit, you stay long enough. It is when you are planted that your roots start going deep. And when you are planted, you are no longer on the surface. It means that when people pass by, they don't see you. Listen and listen carefully. There will be a stage before you come out where nobody will even recognize you. You are in the studio, they don't mind you. You go to the football park, they never filled you. I remember the story of Arde-Acquah. At the age of 16, Arde-Acquah had been selected into the national team. And he said because he thought he was young, he would never be called. So the day they were going to play one major match, he went to eat when all the players were, training and everything. Then about halftime, one of our key strikers who was a captain, I forgot his name. He got hurt. Then the coach called him, 16-year-old, come and play. Opportunity had come. Sule Muntari, he said he had been going for training. They will never field him, but he was watching one guy, how the coach was fielding him and the instructions the coach was giving to him. He never played for a whole season. Till one day, the guy couldn't play. And then he told the coach, I've been watching you. I've been seeing everything you tell me. Just give me a chance. Do you stay long enough in a place to learn? Do you stay long enough in a choir to learn? Min la la la, aha ma la la. Do you stay long enough to let the master teach you the rudiments of mechanical engineering? Because what you are not prepared to stay long enough for. I've been doing this job for almost 40 years. 30 years. I've been preaching every Sunday. After 1 year, no, it's enough for me, pastor. More stuff for Jimmy. And I can't me. I started some more. You see? No. So you are buried at a certain point. It's like you are being used. Nobody claps for you. Nobody does anything for you. You see, look at this young man. Every morning I'm here by 4:30 a.m. They are here. I'm sure none of you see it. Nobody sees it. Nobody even commends them. By 4 a.m., 4:30, they are in church, waiting for me. If tomorrow they become something, I'm a Jehena Agbo. You walk into church 9:30. Ever touching? Ochode, speak in tongues. Halabalaba. You never stay long enough to start learning. You never stay in school long enough. You never stay on the football park long enough. You never stay in the boxing gym long enough. You never stay exercising long enough. Every day you're in a hurry. You are always distracted. If you come now, you must sleep. Catch your 5 now, go back. You see, many things are learned after closing hours. Many things are learned. Because working hours, we are all working. So those of us who stay after, that is when the boss can chat with us. That is why somebody who has finished working can go to him and say, show me. Not when we are all training with the coach and the coach is giving instructions, then you come to me. When the coach has left and gone and everybody has gone home and they've turned out the light, then you go to Lionel Messi and say, show me that kick. Show me how to flip that ball. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground. Into the ground. You want to be a nurse, put yourself into it. You want to be a doctor, put yourself into it. You want to be a mason, put yourself into the job. You want to be an electrician, put yourself into it. At a certain point, it means that you are identified with what you do. Everybody knows that this is what you are doing. You are called to be a singer. Everybody knows it. You are called to be a prayer warrior. Everybody knows it. It's not a part-time thing. I was telling the choir, and I'm just ending. I haven't finished, so you stay there quietly. He's into the ground. The roots will go deep. I was telling the choir, have you noticed that everybody who sings, who people pay, they never sing another person's song? Haven't you noticed? Nobody will invite you to come and sing another person's songs. When Shatawale appears, he doesn't go and sing medical songs. When Sinash appears, she doesn't go and sing Sissy Winer songs. When Dana Hamilton appears, she doesn't go and sing Ohima Mercy songs. So as long as you are you see, you are what's the word? You are copying other people. You're not good. You're not original. That is why in this church, by the end of July, Natasha, Thelma, Barnabas, all of them, if they can't create their own songs, they'll stop singing. Serious. They will never stand here and sing another person's song. And then we clap for them. You didn't create it. You're not even singing like the person. Create your own songs. Write your own songs. Think about it. Create beats. You see, invest into it. Die. Get into the ground. You sing a song now, the church doesn't clap. Meaning, eh? You sing a song, back when it starts a bomb, but after 2 years, after 3 years, then they will rise up. Because they followed the process. They fell into the ground. They invested into learning about beats, learning about various genres, reggae, hip-hop, high life, all of them. They started tapping into their creativity. The seed of God in them is now coming out. It's been planted. It's gone into the ground. If we let them sing other people's songs, they will never make money. They will never have fruit. Did you hear that? We can leave that for the royals and the next generation, but not for the mature group. Not for them. And when people believe that it is their seed, do you know what they do? It's no longer part-time. So Shatawale is not a part-time singer. Medical is not a part-time singer. Sinash is not a part-time singer. Bukom Bakum is not a part-time boxer. Lionel Messi is not a part-time footballer. All of them are full-time because they believe in it. They are ready to die with it. I'm not a part-time pastor. I'm not a part-time prayer warrior. I'm not a part-time usher. We're talking about the Pentecost Church. Pastor Manson went there last week. She got to their head office. hundreds of workers, all of them in the youth, in the children, in prisons ministry, in hospital ministry. All of them believed in their seed. They were all full time. So the Bible says that except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and dies. You see, there must be a death process. So look at this young man. He's here. If I kick him, will he get angry? You know why he will get angry? Because he's not dead. Because there must come a time when you die to pain. You see, there's a process, Nesani Ochomi, after which you die. So if you're a footballer, you are dead to the pain of waking up and going for training. If you're a boxer, you are dead when the weather is cold. So the weather doesn't stop you from training. If you are a serious businessman, the weather doesn't stop you from going to work. Because you are dead to those things. Those things no longer influence what you do. So if you say you believe in your seed and it never dies, you see, there's a process where in the middle of the night when people are sleeping, you are awake. You are dead to pain. There's a time when people are sleeping, you are studying, you are going for extra classes, you are pushing, you are reading more books, you are training extra because you are dead to the world. Everybody knows that this is my life. I'm dead to everything. So Shatawale will never become a banker. He's dead to. Medical will never become a carpenter. He's dead to it. And except you get to that point where you are prepared to die. You are prepared to die. Every day at 4 a.m., we are here. Every day at work, we are here. I stay till I finish working. Nobody is paying me. Nobody is motivating me. I'm self-motivated because I'm dead to other things. This is what I've decided God has placed in me for me to do. I believe in it, though it may be small and insignificant. If I nurture it and I plant it and I fall into the ground and it dies, when you find someone who is complaining about what he does, Pastor, time of attention, you see, it's a sign that you don't want to die, or that is not your seed. Because complaints, excuses are a sign that that is not your seed. Everybody who has become rich in this world has gone through a process of death. Because in dying, you can get up. In dying or death is a gateway into another life. When Jesus died, he resurrected. When we die, we will leave this earth and go into another place. If you die, you will leave something behind. The old man, the old life. You will enter into a new life. But you are a carpenter. Catch a 5 no only be minpa. You see, you're a carpenter at a certain age. You're a carpenter. You want to make money from carpenter. Catch a 5 on shop, auto trouble. Meanwhile, you're not a footballer. I don't understand. At a certain point, you die to some things around you. Actually draft. At 5, Charlie, what cards? Are you serious about life? Do great people have time for recreation after 5? They die. They die. If you are not dead, everything calls you. World Cup has called you. African match has called you. Susu Bribri is playing, it has called you. Everything that happens is distracting you because you are not dead. You are not buried. You are not planted. And except you are planted, can't bear fruit. Can't bear fruit. On Tuesday, I'll try and show you a little about this process and what to do. Because if all of us follow this path, all of us will get to where God wants us to get to. If you have a barbering shop, go and find out the most successful barbering shop in town. Find out their working hours. Find out their working ethics. Copy it. If you're a footballer, find out the greatest footballer. Find out don't just find out the money. No, don't just find out. If you are a mason, don't just go and find out the richest mason, what the work ethics are. If you're a seamstress, find out the work ethics of a seamstress who makes money. Because the money comes as a reward, not as a demand. The Bible says, if a corn of wheat falls into the ground. You see, if you are a cell leader, you are tired, and when my meeting, and when I need help with mommy, you wake up in the morning, you don't pray. Today you don't pray. You see, you are never long. You haven't died to the pain of waking up and praying. You haven't died to the pain of fasting. You haven't died to the pain of attending church meetings. Every little thing. You can't become great with that life. You can't become great. If you want to become great and you want to bring fruit, like a Jay-Z. I mean, when did Afronita start dancing? Afronita has gone to school. She's reading admin, BA admin. She went to Wesley Girls. She's reading a degree at the University of Ghana. And she said, there's something in me. It's dancing. I just move my body. Look at her. Britain Got Talent. Well, famous figure. Some of you can play with dogs. Maybe you can train dogs. That's your passion. That's what God has given to you. Look at the people who train dogs. Look at their work ethics. In Ghana, you may think that, working with dogs. But there are people who sell dogs. One dog is about 3,000 cedis. One dog. 5,000. More than sitting in the bank and earning 1,500 and complaining. I pay your bank then change more makpai. Ba no atawo o bank wenochi. Have you learned something today? Have you learned something today? What God has given to you in His wisdom, He knows that if you are prepared to go through a process, we will explode. See, I want us to come to church, and the latest car is manufactured by someone in this. When they say we are looking for the creative people, they come to the church. They say the cooks, the carpenters, the masons, the artisans, they are here. Because creativity, hard work. I mean, when they give somebody, when somebody employs a church member in this place, we must be proud. I must be proud and say, Pastor, we employed somebody in this church. Give us more. Because your work ethics, you will do the job. You will do it so well that don't call anybody again. Are you with me? When they say the best singers, let them watch our choir. Whoever stands, let a little one become 1,000. Let a small one become a strong nation. From the least to the greatest, all of them, Charlie, I mean, they are just there. The instrumentalists, they are the best. When anybody comes from Abrochi and says, I'm come to have a concert in Ghana, I need instrumentalists. Let them say, come to Powerhouse. There are so many instrumentalists there, all of them. When they play, even David will dance. But it takes hard work. There's no shortcut to wealth. Whatever you are learning to do today, don't be lazy. Work hard. Is somebody with me? In this church, if you work hard, Charlie, you are a friend. If you are lazy, it's a bodenche. We don't waste time. I pray that everyone, whatever you put your hands to do, may God bless you. May you succeed. May God make you fruitful and multiply you. May your work speak and reflect the glory of God. May people look at you and see the image and the likeness of God. That everything you do, you've been through a process where your works are excellent and they speak for you. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Shall we rise on our feet?